Today's ride took me to a place where there are on-ramps and bridges. On-ramps and bridges are such an interesting thing. Bridges bring us from one side to another. On-ramps help us sometimes get up to bridges, sometimes get on highways. They're really important. They're critically important to our lives. Beyond infrastructure, beyond highways and bike trails, on-ramps are necessary to help us continue on our path going from one place to the next. Today's ride took me to a place where there are on-ramps and bridges. On-ramps and bridges are such an interesting thing. Bridges bring us from one side to another. On-ramps help us sometimes get up to bridges, sometimes get on highways. They're really important. They're critically important to our lives. Beyond infrastructure, beyond highways and bike trails, on-ramps are necessary to help us continue on our path going from one place to the next. In this time of more staying in place and not being able to go places, it feels to me like an important time to think about the ways that on-ramps happen more internally than externally, in which we have to be willing to take the time to understand what might be on the other side of something, to take the effort to wind our way up and around on-ramps that can be arduous, that can be windy, and in some cases uncertain as to where this is taking me or where this is taking us. But the on-ramp journey is important. At First Covenant, we talk about on-ramps into many things. On-ramps into different ways of understanding our Creator, of understanding our Christian faith, of understanding critical identity issues. In a recent class called Living the Book with Humility, we've been studying how to hold and understand and interpret the Bible with humility, in particularly around identities. Subjects of race and gender and human sexuality have led us to places where we recognize, because of the incredibly difficult narratives that Christian religion has placed in the flow of how we understand race and gender and human sexuality, that we actually have to get on a ramp to go from one place to the next. We have to actually take the time to understand that getting to racial reconciliation and justice and gender equality and embracing the sacred identity across sexual orientation, we have to move in our minds. We need to take that trip. We need to go to the other side of understanding in order to be free to love and free to understand and include all of the ways that God has created us as human beings. And so, as you experience the visuals of my bicycle journey across bridges and around winding on and off ramps and highway on ramps and cars coming off the ramps, may this be illustrative of the many ways that we need to have the courage to find our way onto new highways, onto new bike trails, into new neighborhoods of understanding and love and embrace of all that God has created, in particular people.